Hey everybody, StellarVision here, and of course Spider-Man. And this is going to be my video on the What If episode 4, which is what if Doctor Strange lost his heart instead of his hands? And, of course, I assume that you've already seen the episode, so, spoiler warning. Alright, and here we go. This is a, very, dark episode. Griefed with the loss of his love, Christine, Strange seeks, the mystic arts like he did in the 616 universe, in order to find a way to bring her back. Events seem to happen the same up until, um, after he defeats Dormammu. The Ancient One still dies, and he still becomes Sorcerer Supreme. And, now as the Sorcerer Supreme, there's, really no one that can really challenge him or stop him um, seeking out his most deep urges. And he, of course, ends up using the Time Stone, the Eye of Agamotto, and tries to stop Christine's death. And nothing works. He tries over and over and over. And every time, no matter how he changes the event, uh, he took different routes. He decided not to go. He left her. He even let her drive one time. Because that's another difference in this one. She went with him in the car ride. So that's how she dies, is in the crash. But he's perfectly fine. But no matter how he changed the event, he still dies. No matter what. And after he does all that, the Ancient One visits him and warns him that Christine can't be saved because it's apparently a fixed event, a fixed point in time. Because in their timeline, like I said before, her death propels him into the title of Sorcerer Supreme. No death, no Sorcerer Supreme, or at least no Doctor Strange as Sorcerer Supreme, and probably Dormammu has, taken over the realm. But, well, obviously we know that there's other things that could have sent him on that path, like, his hands being broken beyond repair. But they don't know that. They just assume that, Christine's death is the only way. But after the warning, he decides to try and save her regardless of the consequences. And just on a note, it's very typical of Strange to assume he can handle all the problems ahead. That happens so many times in the comics. But as he's about to go back in time, the Ancient One hits him with a spell that I wasn't. I don't remember this ever happening before in the comics. I could be wrong, but or this type of spell. I mean, she hits him with a spell that splits the timeline. So he does what he wants to do, but meanwhile, there's another, Doctor Strange, the good Doctor Strange, that did not make that choice. Um, and I don't know. I think the spell might have like made things worse. To be honest, this is just my theory. Um, since she split the timeline. Sorry, Spider-Man. That she split the timeline. Um, and later in the episode, it's implied that uh that they are, halved in power. Well, it's stated that they're halved in power. So I'm wondering if maybe the timeline split other things too. Maybe their alignment. So this one Strange got like all the bad parts, like most of the grief and all of the evil, all the dark, all the darkness that resides in Strange. But that's just a theory. So Strange goes back in time and finds the lost library of Cagliostro, and he meets a character named o-bengh, who doesn't outright deny being Cagliostro when asked by Strange, uh, but he doesn't confirm it either. But it is likely that he is Cagliostro himself, because o-bengh is the name that Cagliostro goes by in the comics, so it's probably him. But Marvel doesn't like to answer these questions a lot of the time. They like to leave things murky because it usually leads to more mysterious storytelling, to be honest. It'd be kind of boring if they're spending every moment explaining every detail to you. In the library, Strange, figures out he needs to, in order to do what he wants to do to change a fixed point in time, he needs to gain more power, obviously. But the way to do that is he absorbs other magical beings, and he does that a lot. I mean, a lot. Like, he spends centuries doing that. And the scene depicting it is kind of scary. Like, makes me, people were worried about, Doctor Strange 2 being a horror movie. I'm not so worried. Not anymore. Especially after some of the stuff that they did in, like, WandaVision. Some of, like, the cosmic horror aspects of that. It's pretty good. And this episode was great for it. Meanwhile, while he's doing all that, Good Strange notices the literal universe like kind of falling apart slowly around him in the world. And he gets like a visit from the ghost of the Ancient One, telling him about the split timeline and how only he can save the universe from himself, I mean. And we get a good fight scene between the two Stranges, but let's be honest, the good Strange never stood a chance. He ultimately loses. Evil Strange was just too OP. And, how could he not be? How could he not be? After gaining all that power, all those centuries of experience he gained in magic, and he still retained at least most of his mind. He doesn't seem like completely out of his mind. Consumed by grief, but not like irrationally insane. He still tries to like use logic and stuff. So he absorbs the Good Strange, regaining his halved power, and he seems to lose like some control of his form since gaining all that power. But regardless, he immediately tries to resurrect Christine, and it's successful. But then, of course, the universe rapidly starts caving in on itself, and Christine is terrified of him because he's this like looks like this like amalgamorph eldritch beast or whatever. And he does regain control of his form eventually, but and he tries to stop the universe from imploding on itself, but he just can't. He bubbles himself and Christine, and then she slowly starts fading away in his arms. And it's just like one of the saddest endings that I've like seen in a little while out of anything. I don't know. Uh, and like the previous episodes, I thought this was a good one. And it's in its own way. Like each episode is like done really well in like specific stuff, and that's like great for an episode like this. I thought the horror elements were pretty good, and it was really nice to get a sad story in the MCU. Change of pace is always good to see, and I don't know. I think that's about it. Um, I don't really have much else to say, at least right now. I would have got this video out earlier, but the power went out yesterday, and I didn't save my notes that I had wrote. Um, and that this last week of work was like really rough. But anyway, if you like this video, please like and subscribe. And if you want to, interact with me, I go live on Twitch just about every night. I do take a break every now and then, like everybody should. And yeah, Spider-Man, you got anything to say? With great power comes great responsibility. Well, there you have it. I hope everybody has a stellar night.